So one of the most ancient practices of Ho'oponopono that I know of had to do with the village. It had to do with everyone in the village coming together. And if there was a sick person, the sick person would lie down in the middle. And then everyone would have to go around the circle and speak their truth about what they were withholding inside of themselves. Any grievances, any anger, any resentment to any member of the tribe, and also to the gods, and also to their children. Anything that was being withheld, that was being pushed down or held back, had to be spoken out. And then the leader of the people or the priest would lift all of that up in a great prayer so that all of that which had been repressed, suppressed, withheld could be free, and that energy could be released as healing. And then, as I was told, after that, the sick person in the middle would be well. And the ancient indigenous wisdom within that has to do with the fact that the ancients knew that if somebody was ill in the community, that it wasn't just that that person was in isolation. It was that that person was part of the greater community, and that any undulation happening inside each individual was affecting each other and was affecting the whole. So in a sense, when one person was sick, the whole community came together. The whole community, in a sense, was not well, and the whole community had to involve themselves in the healing. Personally, by speaking out personally what has been withheld for them. So in the ancient paradigm of Kealahoku, the pathway to the stars, there is a view that we hold of our insides, the inside of our thoughts, emotions, feelings, as all members of our family. And because the ancients didn't differentiate between good and bad, right and wrong, light and dark, everything was to be embraced in this great acceptance, this great welcome, this great aloha. Then we exist as a whole being. We don't exist as we do today in today's society, where we're fractured. Some of us is good and some of us is bad. So we take that paradigm and apply it to our internal world. Well, my anger is bad, but my love is good. And my resentment is bad, but my generosity is good. So we don't have that division. And in essence, which I've spoken about in other videos, if any part of us arises in the course of our life, that part of us is now a member of our family and deserves to be welcomed and embraced. It doesn't have its rightful place at the head of our household. It doesn't have its rightful place to dictate what our actions are, but it is a welcome family member in our internal world. And so as we look at the world today and the strife and the anger and the tragedy and the war that is happening in our world, it can feel that we are powerless against that. So what can we do? And we can actually do some very powerful practices in our own lives and within our own internal family. And the reason why they're powerful is because the ancients knew that everything in our world, everything that we can see and experience, is made of vibration. It's made of resonance. And the same is true inside of our own bodies, that although we look and feel solid, that at a molecular level, at a quantum level, everything is actually vibrating in various frequencies to create the reality that we see of our bodies. So how we relate to the parts of ourselves inside creates frequency, it creates resonance. How we then project that or relate with that perception on the outside, or what seems to be coming from the outside, that also creates frequency, it also creates resonance. And so everything and everyone on our planet is a part of that molecular vibration. That includes the people halfway around the world. It includes the creatures deep at the bottom of our oceans. It includes everything that we can know about and not know about. Everything is part of that soup of resonance and of frequency. And as humans, as individuals in this life, or how we perceive ourselves to be individuals, the only place that we can really come into a relationship with that frequency, to participate consciously in that frequency and in that resonance, is inside of ourselves. It is in our own perceptions, and it is in our own ways that we relate to different parts of our internal family on the inside. So that is the place that we have power. That is the place that we can effect change in our own resonance. And so when we look at outside events and we see what we see, so we're looking at a war right now. And so while I can pray, if you believe in that, and if that's part of your practice, it's a beautiful, beautiful way to gather attention, to gather energy, and to ask for the situation to be resolved in peace and in resolution, and in come to some kind of harmony and balance. I'm not saying don't do that. Absolutely, if that's part of your practice, prayers can be extremely powerful. But what I'm speaking about here is a slightly deeper place that has to do with our own resonant field and how that resonant field affects the rest of the world. And how we do that is we go directly to our internal family, the way that we relate with our own selves. But in practice for myself, anything that I see on the outside world and that I notice or respond to can be found inside my own internal family. So when I look at what's happening with war, I look inside and say, okay, are there any parts of me that are in conflict with the other parts? Are there any parts of me that feel tyrannical, that want to overcome other parts of myself? So for instance, if I'm a perfectionist and I feel that I'm always criticizing myself or putting myself down or beating myself up because I didn't do it well, I didn't do it perfectly. And we can get quite extreme within ourselves, the way we speak to ourselves, the way we call ourselves an idiot, or we get exasperated with ourselves when we make attempts to do things and we perceive that we fail. So this internal self-talk, this internal relationship can be found in reflection of what we see on the outside. So with this war, I look for that. I go to the places in myself that I am fighting with myself, the places where there's a takeover. Parts of myself want to really control and make submissive other parts of myself, that parts of myself aren't having a full voice to speak because they're being repressed or even killed off. There are times when we want to just get rid of a feeling that we have, or a or a perception that we have, and just say no to it, that that's not a thing, that's not happening, I don't want to hear you anymore, and boom, it gets basically buried. So I know that these are not as huge examples of violence or huge examples of war, perhaps as the ones that we're seeing on the outside, but they are still contributing to that resonance. Anytime we are in participation with conflict inside of ourselves, we are in participation of supporting that resonance of war. And so what we can do is we can look at what is true in ourselves. In a sense, we can gather the village inside, absolutely all family members, whether we think they're good or bad, right or wrong, bring them all together and say, hey, everybody, we have to gather and we have to speak out. We have to reveal what has been held and what has been pushed down and what has been buried, so that we can free that energy of conflict. We can free that energy of resentment. We can free that energy of war. So those of us who can hear this, this possibility that we are made of resonance, and can hear the possibility that we are contributing in some way to what is happening on the planet, then those of us who can see and hear that this is a possibility can go and do the work inside. And one of the ways we can do that work is through prayer. Free. So basically what I do when I do this practice is just to quiet myself and to feel what I feel what is touched in me when I am perceiving that outside reality, in this case, war. And so if you just get really comfortable, you can repeat each line if you like, and if not, it's fully up to you. So, great mystery. Heart of love. Heart of light. I ask for your presence to awaken in all being and deep inside every cell of my body. Go deep into my cells, into my cellular memory, into my soul memory, into my ancestral memory, and awaken from out of each of these. That seed of life, that seed of light that is already there in all of creation. Find me now. And go deep to the root of all conflict in my system. Any of the places I fight with myself, that I am discontent with myself. That I feel that I want to change parts of me, even to kill off parts of me that I don't approve of. Go deep to the origin points of these places. Go deep into the hurt, into all the times I was ignored, disregarded, insulted, put down, and bring them all up to the surface. Go deep into all the times I felt I was betrayed. Betrayed by people, betrayed by life, betrayed by my body. Go deep to the roots of all that betrayal, all that hurt, still living inside of me, and bring it up to the surface. Great mystery. Go deeper into my psyche, into my heart, into my awareness, and go all the way to the source of any resentment, any hate that I may have developed for any other part of myself. Go deep into my control mechanisms, all the ways I want to overcome parts of myself that I think are unacceptable, and bring them all up to the surface. Go deep into all the ways I feel powerless inside. Anywhere parts of myself feel disrespected by other parts of myself. Anywhere parts of myself feel victimized by other parts. And bring them all up to the surface. Go deep into my heartbreak, my sadness, around man's inhumanity to man. And root out any of the ways that that is true inside of my own internal family. Anywhere I express a lack of humanity, lack of compassion, lack of love. To the members of my own internal family. And bring it all up to the surface. Great Spirit, I hold all of this up to you and ask you to touch it with light, within and without, and completely unwind it, free it, release it, and fill all the spaces with pure light, with pure love, with the essence of creation. Fill all the spaces with compassion for myself and for all beings. Fill all the space with remembering that the light of creation pours through me. Give me the grace to allow it more and more. And I ask that you do this right now. Thank you. Great mystery.